Howdy, welcome to Political Science 206 American National Government. My name is Kerry Netterman, and I will be your host and guide through this coming semester, talking about the nature of and the foundations of the American governmental system. As you know, this course is being taught asynchronously online. Wouldn't be seeing me, where's the pity for you, if it were the case that you didn't realize that already. What I want to do today is, in brief compass, talk about the course requirements, go over the syllabus, and maybe talk a little bit about how I'm approaching teaching the course. I guess the first thing that I want to say is just to introduce myself a little bit. I've been at Texas A&M now for 23 years, having had a sort of career that has spanned the globe. Prior to that, I spent some time in Arizona and in upstate New York, and 5 years at the University of Canterbury in Christchurch, New Zealand. And then before that, a number of years teaching in various places in Canada. So I've been around the block a bit. It used to be that they said, join the Navy and see the world. Well, in this case, it's become an academic and see the world as my career has worked out. But now I'm pretty well set in Texas. I don't see myself going anywhere from here. In any case, the course itself is, as I've suggested, intended to give you an overview of American government. Now, everybody teaches this course slightly differently. In my case, my main field of study is the history of political thought. And I'm someone who believes very strongly that ideas matter a great deal. So the major part of the course, the first section of the course, is concerned specifically with the origins, mainly intellectual, but also institutional origins of the American system of government, of the American Republic. And so in that section of the course, we'll be looking at some of the theoretical background, intellectual background to fundamental American values and beliefs, and looking at a number of important figures who influenced the way in which the United States came into existence and then developed historically. This is something that people do to a greater or lesser extent, and I do it to a greater extent because I think it's important. And you're going to hear me say in the succeeding lectures about the importance of ideas, and hopefully you'll come to understand what that means, the significance of that. And then the later two sections, or 2.5 in effect sections of the course, are going to be looking at specifically the development of American, or the nature of American political institutions. So we'll talk about things like federalism, we'll talk about presidency, Congress, the courts, and so forth, and how those are rooted in, specifically are rooted in this intellectual tradition that I'll be covering in the first part of the course. And then the second part of the third section of the course is what I call practices. And that means the various kinds of political behaviors that are built into the American political system. And when I said 2.5, what I meant was that the practices section is in turn divided into two sections, namely elite practices and popular practices. Again, when you have a look at the syllabus, it should become more obvious. And something I need to stress, or I want to stress, is the importance of that syllabus and staying on top of that syllabus, because it's going to give you everything you need in order to get through the class successfully. This is not, I should emphasize, in a sense, a quote unquote self-paced class. My experience has been, and I've done this a number of times before, my experience has been that if there is more structure to the class, then it's the case that students are able to get through it and come out okay on the other end. Courses that are taught, online courses that are taught in such a way that it, as I said, is effectively self-paced, it's too easy for students to get behind and not be able to catch up. Now, what I mean by structure is that the course is set up on what I call an as-if basis. Namely, it's set up in such a fashion that we pretend, we're going to play a little pretend here. We pretend that the course meets on Mondays and Thursdays. In other words, that it's as if it were a face-to-face course, so that you know which days that you're going to be expected to do the work, to do the assignments, to watch the lectures, and to prepare for the exams. I'll talk more about the exams in a little while. I am using my notes here. I don't normally work from notes. Occasionally, if it's something that I don't feel as comfortable with, I may consult notes. But generally speaking, I tend to just talk, to speak, to lecture in a kind of an extemporaneous style. But today in particular, I want to be sure I cover all of the points, all of the necessary points for the class. So that's why I'm going to be going back and forth with the notes, and being sure that everybody has a good understanding. On the Canvas page, you're going to find, for the course, you're going to find the following things. You're going to find the syllabus, and that is both an indication of the content of the course, discussion of the content of the course, and the various elements of the course that are necessary, the requirements that are necessary for you to succeed in using the course. There's also a assignment schedule available, which again you need to follow and look at very carefully. And as I said before, it's set up in such a way that we are pretending, we're play acting that the course is meeting on Mondays and Thursdays. Now, you may ask why Mondays and Thursdays? Well, the idea was to spread it out a little bit in terms of your likely schedule, to give you time to do the readings and to otherwise sort of take in the course materials. And as a consequence of that, the assignment schedule is very precise, or as precise as I can make it, and indicates what you need to do on a given day. Now, I realize that you may not be able to, on every one of those days, to be able to get through the course readings and the videos, lectures, and so forth, which, as I said, I understand. But I think it's important for you to realize that you cannot get too far behind. Getting too far behind, as I think I say in the syllabus, will be disastrous. You just won't wind up getting through the class. And it's crucial, it's absolutely crucial that you do so, that you stay on track. Okay, so keep that in mind. The reading assignments themselves are from several different places. There is a textbook that was written primarily by a guy named Glenn Krutz, who was a doctoral student here, and then who taught at Oklahoma State, University of Oklahoma, now is the Dean of, I think, Liberal Arts at the University of Colorado. And the textbook is the core from which you need to start. Now, good news, the textbook is free. It is the result of a program called OpenStax that provides various introductory textbooks at no charge online. You can get a PDF. This is in the syllabus. You can get a PDF of it for free. If you want a hard copy of it, they will provide one at a nominal charge. But for most of you, probably have no problem reading materials online. I'm not so good with that. I need to have something hard in front of me, paper in front of me. But I realize that these are different times. And so in essence, you're not going to have to pay anything for the course. And I do this for you, obviously. The textbook is comparable to any of the other American government textbooks out there, and there are a lot of them. And they are, in general, either to buy or to rent, very expensive. I won't get into my spiel about textbook publishing, but needless to say, I take the view that it tends to be a ripoff. And I don't want to see students getting ripped off buying something they don't need to buy. So that's going to be the primary text, and that's where you're going to need to start from. There are also PDF readings, and these are linked in the assignments, the assignment schedule for a given day. So for each given day on the assignment schedule, again, in your which is tied into the Canvas site. So there's a button for every day for each of these days we're meeting. And you click on the button, and that will bring up both the reading assignments from the textbook, but also then links to the ancillary readings, which are PDFs. And in particular, there'll be a fair number of ancillary readings in the first section of the course, materials about the Constitution, materials from various political authors, political thinkers, the Federalists, for example, and you need to access those as well. And in addition to that, there will be on certain days, rather than being lectures like this, there'll be what I call written lectures, which cover the topics that would be necessary for those lectures. Why do I do the written lectures? Because there's, in some of these topics, you need to have a very precise explanation of elements of American government that I think come across better in written form than they're going to come across if I was trying to cover them in a lecture like this. So all of that information on each day that the class, quote unquote, meets, right? And as I suggested or said, the class meetings are taken to be Mondays and Thursdays. And for every day that the class meets, it's the case that there is a button in the module section of the Canvas page, and that will then give you everything you need to be doing for that particular day, for that particular topic on a given day. There will also be course announcements from time to time, providing information, answering questions that may come up. And it's important that you keep an eye on the announcements because they will give you necessary information as we move along the way. I'll remind you about exams, things like that, but also provide what information I think it's necessary that you might need as the course moves forward. Let's see. The course, in terms of the grading, which I'm sure is something that's all important to you, excuse me, in terms of the grading, the course will work essentially as follows. There will be 4 exams. They are all multiple choice exams. No writing involved, no writing entailed for the exams. Each of the exams has 60 questions on it. Those questions are all geared to the readings and to my lectures. They will be open book. That is to say that for all of the exams, you are able to use your textbook, the other readings, notes you've taken on my lectures, and so forth. And the exams are set up so that you have 60 minutes to complete the 60 questions. The way it works, the way it's going to be set up, is that you'll have a 24-hour period for each of the exams, and the dates of the exams, again, are on the Canvas page for each of the exams. And it's the case that, as a consequence of that, you will then have a 1-hour period. You log on to the exam, you take the exam, and at the end of an hour, it will automatically shut off. The other feature of the exams is that they are the questions are going to be randomized. So no 2 exams are going to be exactly alike. And that is the case that once you answer a question, you move on to the next question, you can't go back. Once you've answered a question, that's it. That's your answer. Okay. So there are some controls and checks on this. However, in teaching the number of courses, 206s online like this, I found that students rarely have a problem with getting through the exams in 60 minutes. And again, I think in part because you have access to the materials in front of you, to the readings and so on, and lecture notes. And at the end of that 24-hour period, again, system shuts down. You can't access it. And the Canvas system will, of course, automatically grade the tests. You'll know what your test grades are. So it's a fairly efficient way of delivering the examinations. And as I said, you may, and I often get students who sort of leading up to the first exam, get rather nervous about it, and don't panic, don't worry. These things come out very well, and have come out very well in the end. But that's how the system works. Now, obviously, for the whole of the course, the delivery of the lectures, the readings, and so forth, as well as the exams, you're gonna need to have a good internet connection. This is proven sometimes to be a problem, but it is an absolute requirement that you have internet connectivity that is reliable, and that you are able to access on effectively a daily, regular basis in any case. I say daily because of the announcements which may be put up at any given time. Now, if you have questions, there are various ways of communicating with me, of communicating to me. First, and probably best in many ways, is email. When I am not at the university, it's the case that I have my university email account up afternoons and evenings, not so much mornings, because I'm not a morning person, or as I like to say, Netterman don't do no stinking mornings. So you can contact me and expect that I will get back to you in a fairly expeditious amount of time. And again, you can contact me with any questions you have related to the course, or anything that you want to be either reassured about or you want explained in greater detail and so on. So that is one way in which you can contact me. I'm also happy if you want to talk to me more directly on a more face-to-face or personal basis. I'm also happy to schedule Zoom appointments on a one-on-one basis to answer your questions, to talk about whatever. And all you need to do is to email me. We'll set up a time. I'll send a Zoom invitation, and we can talk. We can talk directly. Let's see, what else do I need to talk about? Oh, yeah, to go back to the grading for a second, be careful about doing the exams on the given day. There are no extensions or reschedulings except if you have a university excused absence. Now, if you don't know what a university excused absence is, have a look at, I believe it's Student Rule 7, because it's very detailed about what constitutes university excused absence and how that works. Otherwise, if you just say, I forgot, or for that matter, if you don't have, if you have problems with computing access and so forth, those don't count, right? You wind up getting a 0 for that particular test. Also, all of the tests, the 4 tests are all weighted equally. In other words, they're all equal. They're all worth 25% of the final mark in the class. So none of them is more important. And to be clear, those tests, those exams, only cover the material in the preceding section, right? So there's going to be an exam when the ideas section is over. There's going to be an exam when the institutions section is over. There's going to be an exam when the practices section for elite practices is over, and then an exam covering practices of popular practices. And there's no final exam. There's no final cumulative exam. Each of the exams is worth precisely, it covers rather, just precisely the material that's come before. Okay? So it's not as though in a later exam, I'm going to be asking you about material from an earlier section of the course. It's completely balanced and weighted that way. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, I think it looks like it may cover the field in terms of sort of the organization structure of the course. In case you're wondering, I am doing these lectures, the video lectures, not in an empty classroom, but rather in a part of the study in my house. I had I started doing this actually during the pandemic because I had to, in effect. And one of the pieces of feedback I received from students was that they actually enjoyed this sort of more informal setting, as I said, rather than me standing in an empty classroom, which I would find fairly boring as well. So if you get bored with my lectures, you can look around and see my posters and things like that. Also, for the lectures from here on out, I didn't need it today, but I have a small blackboard that I pull out, so I'll be writing things on the board. I find it very difficult when I'm lecturing, certainly about anything of any substance. I find it very difficult not to work on a blackboard. So that'll be there. It also hopefully will help you to organize the materials and the presentation of the lecture a little bit better, right? To get a sense of or a feel for sort of where I'm going in terms of the lecture, materials. Let's see. Just want to be sure I don't miss anything. And because I I want everybody to be clear about how the about how the course is going to function. Maybe the case that some of you have considerable experience with online teaching, with online classes. It may also be the case that some of you have this is your first time around. As I've been suggesting, I try to keep the course as structured and organized as possible so that you know what you're supposed to be doing and you don't wind up getting behind. I mean, it's one of the problems that I hear all the time from students is that they get online courses that are not particularly well organized, and they get confused about what they're supposed to be doing when, what the expectations are, and so forth. So I really try hard to get this all straight so that you know what you're supposed to be doing and when you're supposed to be doing it, and so forth. But again, if you have questions, I am accessible. I'm a real live person. I'm not a creation of AI or something like that. And so as a consequence, you should always feel free to get in touch if you've got questions, if something isn't clear, and I will do my very best to clarify it, to help out in any way I can. I think that's the way in which I think too often these courses work is precisely that students don't have a sense that there's a real live person there who they can get in touch with and for questions, clarifications, and so on. So I am a real live person, or as alive as you can be at my age. And as a consequence, you can count on my support. You know, it's a 50-50 proposition, right? You have to put in the work. If you put in the work, you'll be successful in the course. And my 50% is to do whatever I can to help you get through the course. So I know students are often kind of hesitant to contact professors to make use of the resources, but I really encourage you to take advantage of that because it will be important, useful for you. And also sometimes questions come up that are things that I hadn't considered. And that as a consequence of that, it's the case that that's information I can pass along via announcements to the whole class. So if you need me, you can count on me. You can count on the fact that I'll be here for you and do everything I can to help. I know I keep stressing that, but it's very important. It's probably more important in an asynchronous online class like this than it is in a regular face-to-face class. So I think with that, I'm going to cut off and encourage you then to starting first course day that is assigned on the syllabus to get to work on the material and wish you the best of luck in the class. I'm looking forward to it, looking forward to hearing from you as you wish, and please have the best of luck in your studies. So with that, I'm going to sign off. I have to do this technologically with a remote mouse. So if you see me bending over like this, you'll know what I'm up to.